Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the ice. On today's episode, I'm joined by the wonderful Jesse Pelletier of the Lorette Comets, as well as he's got a little bit of action in the senior league this year. We'll talk about him and the schedules and what he's been able to tell us on the upcoming fall season for both leagues. Tremendous news coming from the Hanover Tache Jr. League. Used to be 6, now it's going to be 9. With 2 new teams and 1 team returning. So that's fantastic. The league's going to come back without hiccups, of course. And we look forward to seeing some Junior C action in those local rinks. So do support the boys if you can be one of those spectators out there as well. Great to see hockey back in action with lots going on in the small rural communities. Please welcome Jesse Pelletier. Joining me today, Jesse Pelletier. Jesse, busy man of all hats. I mean, not only your work, but 2 teams now, 2 different leagues. Like you're saying off the air, thank God you don't have any kids.
Yeah, if I had kids, I think my outside of home and work priorities would be different. But lucky enough to have the time and energy to wear 2 hats, like you said, be involved with Lorette JR in the Hanover Tache and the newly formed Ils Des Chenes Northstars in the Carillon Senior Hockey League. So
let's talk a little bit quickly if we can. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine. I think it was March the 10th or 12th, the Thursday, it was the 12th. You and I hustling to do one of these episodes together. You were running to the rinks, running back from the rinks. Everything was going crazy. And
yeah, that was the peak of COVID, or when everything kind of shut down, and we ended up playing game 1 that night, only to have everything be shut down, of course. But it was a crazy time, and we were on the verge of deciding to play a 1-game series, and we ended up deciding not to do that. Thankfully, we didn't, because we lost game 1. But we did the best we could to make it work at the time. Obviously, didn't end up happening. And just recently tried to possibly get the boys back together, both rosters from us, the Comets, and the Springfield Extreme, and play out that best of 7 or best of 5. But unfortunately, Hockey Manitoba wouldn't let us use our 21-year-olds because, of course, they're overagers now. And so we decided it wasn't worth it, just because, I mean, that's who you wanted to finish that series for mostly. I mean, it was all the players, of course, but specifically those 21-year-olds who are now out of junior hockey.
yeah, that's a big push. I mean, unfortunate that Hockey Manitoba did not allow that. But like you said, it's the aging out guys that are trying to finish their career off proper and finish strong and unable to hoist a trophy. Is a lot of different teams have felt that over the spring. And, I mean, it's just one of those asterisk kind of things that are going to happen. And we just have to look forward into a new normal and see how this hockey is going to start. So without further delay, give us some details on the Junior C action. I mean, you've got some ideas of how many teams are in the Hanover Tache this year. Let's start with that.
Sure. So we're up 3 teams, which is really cool to see and maybe unexpected in a pandemic.
Yeah.
But we added Niverville. St. Adolphe is back. They had a 1-year hiatus last year. And then Landmark is back in the league after 20 years without icing a team. So that's good for the league. Good to see new teams, new players, and programs coming up. It's always good to have, north of 5 or 6 teams to keep the league healthy and strong. So we'll see how these teams, end up forming. Usually it's tough go to when you start off, recruiting players and making things work in that respect. But it's exciting to see all the new teams.
What does a new team need to get into a league like the Junior C Hanover Tache? I mean, La Broquerie had a really rough start last year. They didn't win a game, or they maybe won 1. Like you said, it's hard to put a team on the ice to get them skated. In terms of an organization, ownership, what does a team like Landmark coming back need to come forward so that they're able to play this year?
That's the biggest thing you mentioned there is ownership, having a good, strong group that's not just in it for 1 year. Ideally, have a plan in place to continue the program year after year. Then you need to, establish a coaching staff, a general manager, equipment manager. Every little position is key in all these little in these organizations, because it is all volunteers. You're not paying anyone really to do this work. So without that, it's tough to recruit people, and it's tough to get people's time away from other things. So the biggest thing is having a strong, ownership or management group, and then it kind of filters down from there. And then, of course, you need the players. I mean, you need local players. We allow the 3 imports, as you know, so you can do your best to recruit guys from other rural regions or Winnipeg. And, again, LeBroker, a good example. They weren't strong last year. They're looking to be a little better this year, of course. And, I mean, I can go back down the memory lane, even Lorette, when they started, when I was 16, they were 0-24 that season. And if you stick with it, and it's tough to do during those first few years, but 6 years later, we won a championship. So it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of people. But if you can put it all together and at least be competitive, then you're going to draw players that are going to want to come play for you year after year.
16, just a couple of years ago, right, Jesse?
Just a couple, yeah.
Just
like
a couple, yeah. I don't want to go too far back in the Wayback Machine, but like you said,
right.
Each team is going to have growing pains, and a lot of it is volunteering. Do you think that maybe because of this pandemic, there's more people understanding the importance of community, grassroots, entertainment closer to home versus having to travel or having to go to far off places that they may or may not be too comfortable with traveling?
Great question. I hope so. I think what this pandemic has done to everyone in the world, not just the hockey community, is just realize how precious life can be and how things can come to a screeching halt in an instant. And now that we're almost on the other side of this, and we're kind of getting back to normal, as people say these days. I hope people are going to appreciate the things that we do have, like community hockey programs, like local sports and youth sports. And the drawback right now, of course, is the limitations on spectators and the mask wearing and the social distancing and all that, all there for good reason. I don't know how that's going to translate into getting bodies into the rinks. For example, Lorette Arena is only allowing 29 spectators right now, so it's pretty tough to draw a big crowd, literally numbers wise, and B, from a financial standpoint for us, it's tough to want to host games there, because we will, just by the nature of the numbers, we're losing money right off the bat. So that's tough. So I hope once we get on the other side of this and the restrictions start to ease, we can start seeing people back in the rinks, especially with potentially no NHL till mid to late December, even some are saying. So if that's the case and there's no sports on TV again, maybe people will come out and check out their local hockey.
You mentioned the Lorette rink only being able to have a capacity of 29. Is there an opportunity for other rinks to be used that could be larger?
Yeah, we're in Ils Des Chenes as well. We're lucky to have 2 rinks available to us. We're one of the only teams really that has that capability. So Ils Des Chenes is much higher. I think it's about 100 people that they'll allow, which would be a great draw for us during the regular season. Playoffs, we get much more than that. So I think we got 8 games in Ils Des Chenes this year and 4 in Lorette. So making do with that. The issue, of course, I'm also wearing my senior hat as the head coach of the senior team, and we're all based out of Ils Des Chenes. So I kind of took some games away from my junior team for my senior team. Yeah. But wearing both hats allows me to be flexible and kind of give ice where I need to. And I work with both rinks quite well and have a good relationship with them. So.
I'm going to ask you this question. There isn't we're going a little bit further here with this, and we're seeing community sports come back. It's important to have the community involvement. There's no discussion whatsoever about a potential bubble, one rink being used for all the games.
No, it's just not possible. I mean, previously the rinks have been booked to capacity in each community, never mind trying to put everything into one rink. And the idea of a bubble is that they're there
all the time,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which obviously is not possible with people having to go to their jobs and go to school here. So, there was some idea of, other leagues are doing, 4-game or 5-game sets, kind of trying to stay in their regions, like MJ, for example, MJHL. So we'll see how that kind of works. But overall, it's, the restrictions are heavy. I mean, it's a different world we live in, as everybody knows, and the arenas are taking them very, very seriously, and they've got their people working to ensure people are abiding by the rules and disinfecting and making sure people are following the guidelines. So I hope that that's enough. I mean, I hate to say this, but at the other side of the coin, if we do shut it all down and we don't have another minor hockey or senior hockey season this year, what damage are we doing to these kids and these adults who really want to get out there and see their friends and play hockey and be active and have that community spirit, like you said? Don't get me wrong. I know that there's a scary sickness going around, and we should take our precautions. But on the other side of the coin, what is the other damage we're going to do if we shut everything down? I think that needs to be at least talked about as well.
You bring up a very good point, not just the economics, but just the involvement. I find it very, I don't want to say oxymoronic, but just paradoxical, or whatever you want to call it, that we're trying to promote, being healthy and staying healthy, yet here we are telling kids to stay home, not get out and exercise, not get fresh air, and not be able to play a sport that they love, even though there are certain, restrictions and guidelines being followed. I mean, I'll leave it at that, because we could go on for hours about
Absolutely,
that.
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's in the name of safety, but it's in the name of health, and there's nothing better than getting some physical, workout in.
Yeah.
Seeing your friends. We're social creatures. Everyone knows this, and so I really, really hope that Hockey Manitoba and the province finds a way to, dodge this pandemic and make a hockey season function in some capacity this year, because it'd just such a shame to see it shut down again.
They got to meander their way through this. Absolutely.
Meander, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, thanks.
Meander, the serpentine. I got you. We're on the same page, Jesse. So real quick, before we go to break, we have 6 teams last year. They're all staying. We have 3 new teams. One team took a year hiatus. One team took a 20-year hiatus, and a brand new team. So now we're 9 strong, which is great for junior C hockey. Look forward to seeing that community involvement, of course, without hiccups. We're going to take a quick break, Jesse. We're going to talk about some of the schedule details, and then we'll talk about the second hat you wear here on the ice. Talking hockey with Jesse Pelletier. What is your role with the Lorette Comets? You're not a coach. You're
general
management?
Yeah, general
GM,
management.
Lorette Comets. Why didn't they give you a coaching spot with Lorette? Did you have to go find a coaching spot with Ils Des Chenes?
Because I've been there, done that. So I coached the Comets for 4 seasons. 3rd season, we won the championship, which was great. I came back for 1 more year, transitioned some of my ex-players, believe it or not, into coaches. And now that same group of 3 ex-players, and now we added a 4th, actually. So 4 of my ex-players who used to play under me are now coaching the Comets. So it's cool to see their growth and evolution from players now into coaches. It's kind of come full circle. I think we talked about that maybe once before.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. And once you get out as junior and you have that itch to play competitive still, but don't have that opportunity, coaching is a good way to get around that, because you can live vicariously through your players, so to speak. So it's good to see them bouncing ideas off me for a power play or a line combination or whatever. And that being said, I also still had the itch to get back behind the bench and didn't want to step on their toes, of course. So this opportunity presented itself with getting the Ils Des Chenes Northstars back into league play. They've been strictly associated with the Allen Cup for the last 15 years or so. But finally, with the group, the ownership group that I'm a part of, we finally figured it out, and we're going to be joining the CSHL, the Carillon Senior Hockey League, this year.
How is that different to be joining the Carillon and just be a team that was playing for the Allen Cup annually?
Well, anyone who knows the history of the Ils Des Chenes Northstars knows that it has this mythical, almost surreal presence in that community. Once this was officially announced and we started recruiting players, the ones who are committed to my program right now are just over the moon excited with the opportunity to be able to put on a North Star jersey. Because when they were kids, you'd go to Ils Des Chenes Arena and it was literally standing room only, packed barn, watching these North Star games. That's what you did in Ils Des Chenes on a Friday or Saturday night in the early 2000s and late 90s. So to be able to be a part of the group that finally brings this team back to Ils Des Chenes, back into league play, and not just a few games at the end of the season gearing up for an Allen Cup run is fantastic. So we've got a great ownership group, great coaching staff. We've got a really good competitive group of players that I think will compete this year for a championship already in year one, which is a bold statement, but I'm willing to make it here. And really excited to get going. So,
right on. You off air, you mentioned some of these players that are looking to adorn the North Stars jersey this year. It's not just it's a senior league. So, I mean, there's players in their 30s. There's guys that have been around the league, junior players, guys that have been drafted at the NHL. I mean, these are not no slouches. This is going to be some good hockey.
No, anyone who follows that CSHL, I used to play myself for the St. Anne Aces and be involved with that group, which has won the last 4 years in a row. They probably would have won a fifth time last year if it wasn't shut down. Also 3-time provincial champions as well. Phenomenal group there. They've got a dynasty going. The quality of that league has just gotten better and better and better year after year. So many talented hockey players, of course, in Manitoba, who come back after, like you said, maybe an NCAA career, a WHL or a pro career in the ECHL or overseas, still want to play some competitive hockey, still have that drive to, play hitting and full 20 minutes and refs and stats before they hit the beer league. So this is a great opportunity for those guys. And like you said, we've got kind of the old guard, so the old North Star group. There's a couple of guys still lingering around who, one, like you said, was drafted. We have one guy drafted by the Sabres way back in 84 or whatever it was. He's 43 years old. Wow. But the majority of my team is 25 and under. So I've got a really young group who's eager to, again, don a North Star jersey and get going here in the next month or so.
So no opportunity for Coach Jesse Pelletier to play Coach Reggie Dunlop, perhaps, with the North Stars, or is that not going to happen?
It was thrown around. I could definitely probably ride the fifth line if you know what I mean. But no, my playing days
right?
That's right. Yeah, no, my playing days are done. I'm happy to. I mean, I won a few of those championships with St. Anne. I've won as a coach now as well, and so. I still love the game. I still love to get out there and play. Again, at the beer league level, that's all. That's the pace that I'm happy with right now. So,
it's the amount of beverages before and after a game, and realizing that the puck does move a lot faster than the skates in that division.
At any level, yeah, that's for sure.
At any level, right on. Let's go back to the Hanover bit for a bit, because we haven't really touched on a meeting that was happening a couple of days ago in terms of scheduling. Tell me a little bit about how the schedule is going to work. Will it be mostly weekend games? How that's going to look for the rest of the fall and the winter time here?
Yeah, we're pretty much a strictly weekend-only league, just based on what the arenas have available for junior game slots. So Friday, Saturday, Sundays. You get the odd Wednesday, Thursday game in there, but mostly all Friday through Sunday. We're a 24 game schedule this year, starting October 23rd. So we're starting in 3 weeks here, basically
Yeah.
2 weeks. We have permission from Hockey Manitoba to enter phase 3, which is competitive play games. So we've got their blessing, we've got our league's blessing. Season will run to mid-February or so, and then hopefully playoffs. And by then, again, we're hoping that hopefully a vaccine is out and this whole COVID thing is in the back burner, and we can get back to life as we knew it before this whole thing started.
Normally, is it a 24 game season or is it a little bit larger?
It always depends on the amount of teams in the league. So you try and have a balanced schedule with the amount of teams again. So last year we played 21 based on 6 teams, just playing everyone 4 times or whatever it was. So 24. So we're actually up games this year, which is cool. Whether we get to play them all again remains to be seen, but ideally we do. And so it's business as usual, other than the capacity on spectators in the stands, and of course all the safety measures that are in play from a on ice level to being on the bench. I mean, coaches have to wear masks on the bench. Little stuff like referees are instructed to blow down scrums in the corner quicker than normal, just because they don't want the players bunched up. Face-offs are going to be really quick, just dropping the puck, not really waving guys out or keeping guys together for too long. So I'm very interested to see how that translates on the ice and if it's going to affect the quality of play. But again, that's just what else are you supposed to do? You got to just live with it right now. So
I hope that players maintain the fairness in those face-offs, because Lord knows how many people want to get the advantage on a quick drop. And I cannot totally understand why officials would start blowing down the fisticuffs and the Donnybrooks before they get too escalated, because I think players will understand that, they just want to keep playing their game and they'll hopefully do their part, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's my message to my juniors and my seniors is, it's a privilege to be able to play hockey at all, whether it be at a beer league level or even more of a competitive senior level. We have our health, we have our our families and our communities still intact. So let's take advantage of it. Let's respect the guidelines. Let's do our part. And hopefully, like I said, we get to finish off a complete hockey season this year.
You got to respect the game as well. Quick question on the Comets' third jersey you unveiled last year. Is that going to be making an appearance this year?
Yeah, we have. Well, we have our giant meatball has made its return.
The meteor.
We might do the throwback to our old just green Comets across the chest. But yeah, well, the meatball is back and angrier than ever after getting shut down in the championship last year. So
love that jersey. Very very loud, very colorful.
Yeah,
say it that way. And the Northstars, is that going to be the old end, or they got a new jersey coming out too?
No, that was being a team that's back in. We're a budget team to start, building a bankroll a little bit. So yeah, just the classic end with the arrows up and down the top of the end and then the bottom side of on the reverse side. So look for that. Ils Des Chenes schedule not released yet for that league, but we should be starting November 1st, November 7th, that first week of November, and only a 16 game schedule there because it's only a 5-team league in that capacity. So.
Okay, so you've got the blessing to get into phase 3 for senior hockey as well?
Correct, yeah. Got the blessing from Hockey Manitoba, so just waiting on Schedule Maker to get the full schedule out and then move forward from there.
Looking forward to seeing some results, Jesse. It's great to hear from you and finally catch up on what's going on, because, I mean, like you said, there's some good players still kicking around in these small towns, and if you have a chance, go check them out. I mean, the schedules are all online, correct? The website again?
So Hanover Tache Jr Hockey League, so HTJHL.com, full schedule available there, and CSHL within the next week or so, and at CSHL.info, CSHL.info.
Perfect. Jesse, I want to thank you for some time. Real quick, we watched the draft a couple nights ago. What do you think of this Cole Perfetti kind of guy?
I'm super excited. He slid by a lot of people's metrics down to us, fell in our lap, so to speak. Reminds me of a Mark Scheifele, honestly. Not as good of a skater right now. maybe not as much size as some of the other guys picked around him, but just an absolute stand-up character guy. The Winnipeg Jets organization loves drafting good character guys, good family guys, community guys, so to speak, all about the team more so than themselves. And that's what this kid, from all what I've read about him, is. He just this spitting image of his dad, and just a really good stand-up guy. And stuff like skating and strength can be coached, but you can't teach character. So that's exciting for the Jets, and hopefully he can crack the lineup sooner than later.
I remember when Scheifels came in the league. I think he was about $175, $180 soaking wet. So Kyle Connor was the same, and those guys grew up to be pretty good stars for the Jets. And
you got it.
Look forward to seeing how he's going to mature a little bit. You mentioned skating and strength. I mean, that was mentioned as well so many times. You can coach those two things. Do you believe that, where kids these days need a foundation in proper skating and edging as being the true marker of separating themselves from other players? Because first 3 strides, we always say that that's going to separate the men from the boys, and it's going to get you into a zone faster than the other guy. Strength will come because these kids are 17, 18 years old. They're going to mature. They're going to fill out, obviously. But that skating foundation has got to be the most important thing to have, but you can still coach it.
It's very coachable. Some guys are obviously better at it than others, especially at a young age, which is when you should be focusing on it. I mean, if you look at really all the European models of coaching, they are strictly focused on skating till about peewee age, 13 to 14. Like, they don't even get into the skill stuff till a little bit later. Don't get me wrong, still important. Like, the U.S. model strictly focuses on skills. But the game is so fast now. The game is the transition is so quick that if you can't skate, if you can't keep up with the pace, I don't care how good your hands are or how physical you are. If you can't catch anybody, it's not going to matter. So you have to be a good skater in today's game. It's a no-brainer, and so that can come even at a later age. Again, Scheifele, a great example. He was Bambi, I think a lot of people called him in his first couple of years, because he was on the ice a lot. And you look at him now; he's a built, strong man now. He's improved his skating so much, and it's only paid dividends for him. So, case in point right there with how important skating is out there.
Absolutely. We welcome Cole Perfetti to the Jets organization, just like many other Winnipeggers. Jesse, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate the talk, and good luck with the opening of the season. We'll probably touch base next month to see how everything's starting, and maybe we'll get some insight on some players to watch in the local rinks. How's that sound?
That sounds great, Theo. Good catching up with you, my friend, and stay safe out there, my friend.
Stay safe, stay well. The Hanover Tache League, proudly represented by Jesse Pelletier, the general manager of the Lorette Comets, and now the head coach of the Ils Des Chenes Northstars of the CSHL. Make sure you check out my show Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 7 o'clock, and the Coaches Parlay every second Saturday. Thanks for watching ASTV on the Ice. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day and stay safe out there.